Leslie, Quana, Marquita, Emmanuel Z, Melinda. Hey y'all, welcome to Wednesdays. Wednesdays are for healing. Y'all are here on time with us. That's definitely tea. I don't know what that is, Shayna.
That was quick tea. We ain't gonna keep talking about it because we recorded now. If you missed it, you missed it. If you was in the room, you was in the room. If you caught the live, it will be deleted as soon as I put it on YouTube. Okay.
Okay, moving on this Wednesday. So, we had Clubhouse yesterday, or Patreon yesterday. I have a little bit of tea. So from our Patreon call, so on our Tuesday Patreon calls, we talk a lot about healing stuff, kind of what we do on Wednesdays. And so it's always like a deep dive. Our Friday Patreons are like more freaky, more like, okay, we're talking about sex for real. But Tuesdays, we be doing some work in there. And when we talked about validation, we talked about our behaviors and how we could seek validation from others and how that could dictate our behavior. And so that triggered me. Like, I once remember a time where I was acting and I was being this version of myself who wasn't authentically me, but I didn't even realize I wasn't being me because I had been that person for so long. And that version of Amber, basically all of my actions were based on trying to be validated from others subconsciously, but from men, from my family, from strangers, from peers, from just everybody around me. And so just the progression of, before my herpes, I did not even realize where my actions were coming from. And so herpes helped me to realize that. And so it just really triggered me to think about the old version of myself prior to 2018 and the version of myself now who's just all of I am who I fully am, and that's a work in progress. But I know that my actions I'm not seeking to be validated by anyone outside of me. And that was hella beautiful. That happened last night. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. Woo! Okay, let's get this party started. Hey y'all, it's your girl Amber, aka WatchAmber. I'm the co-founder of the Herpes Can Never movement. I help women heal on purpose. I've been called to help women feel unashamed, empowered, and worthy, and I'm using my real life experiences to do so. I'm an entrepreneur and a certified life coach, and I'm so happy to have you guys here with us on Wednesday. Euphoria.
Rich and Divine Risings family, it's your girl Euphoria tapping in. Excuse me. I'm a self-taught spiritual healer. My main focus is breath work because when we control our breath, we control our spirit and our reality. Guys, I'm professionally a crown adjuster, or as you guys may call it, a cosmetologist. I connect with kings and queens to help them improve their outward perceptions of themselves because when you look better, you feel better. I want to thank you all for joining the room today, finding comfort, education, and understanding for yourself and the other beings hosting. Here we are heard, seen, and loved. Shayna.
Rich and Divine Rising Kings and Queens. My name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess Queen, Mother, Clapback Queen. I am the founder of the Herpes Can Never movement, growing the largest herpes community of over 230K because I inspire people to love themselves more. The mission is to make everyone feel uncomfortable until the herpes community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality. I'm so happy to have you all here with us today on Healing Wednesdays. I'm going to pass it over to Euphoria so we can get started with our breath work.
Okay, family. As you guys know, I always give y'all a fun fact about breath work. It's been around for thousands of years. It's used to clear your subconscious, boost your energy and your immune system, because too often in this karmic realm, we forget to truly breathe. Today, we're going to do something very, very simple. If you guys can, find a place to sit down, really ground yourselves. And I'm going to have the music in the background as well. This music that I'm using today is 639 hertz. It's used to cleanse your heart chakra aura. You can find these kinds of things on YouTube to use in your personal time. But I was thinking of actually doing a series where after today, we start from the root chakra every Wednesday, and we move up to the crown chakra when we use the meditative frequencies in the background so that we can heal the entire body. But yes, without further ado, let's get into the session of breath work. We're going to do shoulder rotations, guys. And this is going to be about 30 seconds, or 30 breaths rather, where we're going to rotate our shoulders to the front for the first 15. And then for the last 15, we're going to rotate them to the back. And I'll just guide you guys through the inhales and the exhales. So here we go. Close your eyes. Ground yourself, please. And gentle. Kings and queens. And we're going to do our first inhale. Inhale. And as you're doing this, rotate your shoulders to the front. Exhale. Inhale. 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 Exhale. We'll do the one to the back now, guys. We're going to rotate shoulders to the back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 5 more, guys. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. I hope you guys all enjoyed this session of breath work. And also, when we open the stage, please let me know how you guys feel about working from the root chakra up to the crown chakra with breath work. Amber, Shayna, how you ladies feeling?
I always feel good in the morning time after breath work, and I thank you, Euphoria. We appreciate you always. It gets us ready for our affirmations. We haven't done affirmations in a while. We've been doing other little prompts for our journals, but let's get back to affirmations, changing our narrative, change where we see ourselves in our lives with herpes, and speaking something different into our lives. It's a habit, remember that. Today's affirmation is surrounded by love, the power of love. I need you to find a mirror, look at yourself, and say these affirmations with me out loud. Tell them to yourself. I'm going to start now. I am enough.
I am enough.
I have so much love to give.
I have so much love to give.
I am lovable in my own unique way.
I am lovable in my own unique way.
I expect respect, appreciation, and consideration. I expect respect, appreciation, and consideration.
I expect respect,
appreciation, and consideration.
And consideration.
I attract and allow healthy, fulfilling love.
I attract and allow healthy, fulfilling love.
I love myself just as I am and just as I am not.
I love myself just as I am and just as I am not.
I am beautiful inside and out.
I am beautiful inside and out.
I am a gift to this world.
I am a gift to this world.
I know healthy love when I see it, and I settle for nothing less.
I know healthy love when I see it, and I settle for nothing less.
And herpes cannot, will not, and could not get in the way of me finding love.
Herpes cannot, will not, shall not, shan't not.
Dr. Seuss not.
No. Get in the way. Stop me from finding love.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm about to run and give now these waffles. I'll be right back.
Okay, mama. Thank you for those affirmations. Y'all, I was dead serious looking at myself in the mirror, saying them. Yeah, I'll be serious about my affirmations. I speak life. I'm telling you, like, it's so much power and value in it. And it's such something we can easily ignore or just skip from our routine. But then affirmations hit different. I challenge you guys to say your affirmations. If you're not in a place where you can say them now with us, then commit to giving yourself that every single day, whatever time makes sense for you. And I know it will pay off. So shout out to everyone in the room. We see you. Thank you. Special shout out to our Patreons. Hey, Leslie, Kwana, Marquita, we see you. We're so thankful for your support, and we're thankful for everyone joining us on Healing Wednesdays. I'm going to briefly just introduce myself again and allow the room to reset, and then I will get into today's lesson that I have for you before we open up the stage. I'm Amber, aka WatchAmber, and I'm the co-founder of the Herpes Can Never movement. Euphoria. Hi guys, it's your girl Euphoria, tapping in as a self-taught spiritual healer. I focus on breath work because when we control our breath, we control our spirit and our reality. Thank you for that, Shayna.
And Euphoria missed the title. She is a spiritual healer for the Herpes Can Never movement. She is our first healer for the Herpes Can Never movement. Put some respect on this queen's name.
Gang.
I am Shayna Singleton, the founder of the Herpes Can Never movement. Again, I'm so happy you all are here with us today on Healing Wednesdays. Amber, do you have something for us today? A lesson for us today?
Hello? I do. It's actually, the lesson came straight up from our private Facebook group. So if you're not in our private Facebook group, what is you doing? We miss you over there, cousin. We need you to catch us over there. You can get to it from Shayna or myself's link, our Instagram links, which are in our profiles here on Clubhouse. So I'm going to read you guys this story, and it's going to go hand in hand with my message today, which is short and simple. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Dang, I feel like we beat it into y'all's head, but I feel like it's so necessary because it's that mindset shift that's going to allow so many things to open up for you. So one of our cousins in the Facebook group had a story time and said, I do Uber and Lyft. So I picked this guy up one day. He was real cool. We was just talking about 2020, many things dealing with life, etc. He was telling me how he had a wife and they had just had a son in 2020, been married for 3 years. I told him 2020 changed my life. He was like, I'm sure it's not that bad. I was like, pretty much, I said, fuck it. I'll never see this guy again. So I told him I was diagnosed with herpes in June of 2020. He was like, wow, I understand. Sorry that happened to you. Within the next 5 seconds, the guy said, hey man, I have it too. I was like, what? Shocked and just speechless, because I felt like that was a way of God sending hope, because I had just left church praying for a sign and something to feed off of. Remind you, this was one of my cloudy days, so I was down. After that, God told me that my entire mood changed. He said his wife accepted him. He hasn't had an outbreak in 3 years, and his wife doesn't have it at all. He told me he's happy, and they live a beautiful life with his wife and son. Basically, sorry, he had a few errors in there grammatically I was trying to clean up. But, okay, so that was the story in a nutshell. So our cousin basically got uncomfortable in that moment. Something rose up that made him share that. And with the guy, it was his passenger. And what it just was a testament to me was that when you are willing to put yourself in a place that seems uncomfortable, you open up for so many lessons that are to be learned in that period of time. And so if you spend your life trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid situations that are uncomfortable, you're also going to be missing out on so many lessons and opportunities to get to know yourself, to heal and deal with the things that are triggering you to feel that way. You're just missing out on so many lessons that are meant for us to learn in this lifetime. And so I just want to be a constant reminder that when you feel like a situation is forcing you to be uncomfortable, which for a lot of us is our herpes. Our herpes makes us uncomfortable. At one time, my herpes made me uncomfortable. It no longer makes me uncomfortable, but it did at one point until I dealt with where that was coming from. When I dealt with the fact that it was from the stigma of what I thought people were going to think about me, which was keeping me from doing certain things and living my life in certain ways because of being under that stigma. So when I realized that I had to sacrifice that comfort of where I had gotten myself to and get uncomfortable with how I was living, I got a chance to learn so many lessons that ultimately landed me right here in front of you guys. So it's just, there's so many lessons in actively getting uncomfortable, and you just have to choose, your pain and choose the lessons that you're going to learn, because if you run, you're going to run towards pain. If you heal, you're going to heal through pain. So just, what is it going to be for? And just make your uncomfortable your new comfortable, and just trust the process. So that's what I wanted to share today with you guys. Shayna?
Yes, I say that all the time. Make uncomfortable your new comfortable. When it comes to pain, we receive pain so negatively. We look at pain as something to run away from. We look at pain as something to turn us into a victim so we can point the blame at everyone else. But what pain does, pain is the uncomfortable that Amber is talking about. That is where the lesson is at. Pain will be a professor. And when you refuse to receive the lesson that that pain is trying to give you, the pain will repeat itself. It will keep showing up in your life. It will keep showing up in your relationships. It might even show up even worse and keep showing up until you decide to learn the lesson. Herpes literally can never. I'm not 100% herpes free like Amber, because Amber is asymptomatic, because the only pain that herpes causes me is my prodrome symptoms that I freaking can't stand when my leg goes out of whack. That's the only problem herpes has caused in my life. Not even my outbreaks are worrisome. It's just my leg pain. That's my only issue with herpes. So if you have more than outbreak and prodrome symptoms issues with your herpes, it's time to dive into your journey and figure out what that is. Your fear is not because of herpes. Guilt is not because of herpes. Shame is not because of herpes. Not being in a relationship, not finding love is not because of herpes. It's everything else. Euphoria?
I love what you ladies have said. And as I always say, additional to you guys' quote is you have to grow through what you go through.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, when I came to terms with herpes and came to terms with coming out and being public about my herpes, that grew my self-confidence through the roof. Like, I no longer was walking around when people would start talking about STDs or herpes or anything, and then getting that heat wave of shame. It was like, oh, well, I mean, anybody can have herpes. Like, the population, 80, 20%. I just started dropping facts. I said, actually, I have herpes. It became a matter-of-fact thing where I'm no longer a burden or a weight on my shoulders. It's like, oh, okay, well, hey, I'm herpes positive right here. I look fine. Herpes isn't for, a specific group of people. Herpes can look like anybody. It can happen to a child. It can happen to a woman. It can happen to a man. It can happen to anyone in any age group, any location, any nationality, any race. So to finally be able to let go of the stigma and really grow through what I went through, it was the most groundbreaking moment of my life, because I was like, I don't know, I don't have to hide anything about myself anymore. I come into a relationship and I'm like, this is this. I'm usually given facts and all kinds of information. I became a beacon of light in something that causes most people to become dark. So when you truly just grasp life by the horns and just truly want to grow through what you're going through, life becomes effortless. It's like a waterfall. It just rolls right on through, and it's really it's just so freeing. So that's what I wanted to add. Oh, actually, I drank my tea today, and I drank yogi teas, and I wanted to share this with you guys. It says literally just this simple sentence: let things come to you. So hopefully, I guess what happened with the guy in the Uber, he let it just come to him, and he let go. And when you let things just come to you and you flow freely like a waterfall, you become you. And that's the best feeling in the world, to truly be yourself, no matter what. In lightness, dark, sickness and health, whatever you want to call it, to just be you and be unashamed. It's a beautiful feeling.
Thank you, Euphoria. That was lit and amazing and a great reminder. And I love the waterfall analogy, because that's exactly what I'm trying to be. I'm trying, I have flowing, not forcing, literally tattooed on my arm, because that's how I want my life to be, a constant flow. And so when you stop fighting the pain, when you stop avoiding the realities of the matter, when you just intentionally deal, you allow that flow to be more reoccurring and be more authentic, and to just really hit different. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys, just the power in getting uncomfortable and making this a season about yourself. We're so quick to put emphasis on others, or want to, like I said at the beginning, get validated from others. But if you just choose to be intentional about getting uncomfortable yourself, you'll see so much, personal growth. Shayna?
Euphoria, that waterfall analogy, it reminds me of this fish analogy that a man told me one time. And he goes, think about a fish in a river. They're going to go with the flow of the water. They're not going to go against the water, looking behind them. It's too much work. It's harder to do. So they go with the flow of the river. And it makes me think of life, even down to herpes and disclosure, or talking about herpes or dealing with our herpes. When we go into a disclosure situation, not accepting ourselves, not doing the work, we're going against the flow of things. We're making our situations harder on ourselves, and we're doing it purposely. If it's hard for you to disclose, it's time for you to go with the flow of the river, down the waterfall. Go with the flow and do your self-work and do your self-healing, so that when you are ready to disclose, when you've reached that point of the river, it comes easy and naturally, because you are sure of yourself and you have accepted yourself. But if it's hard to disclose and it's hard to do that, you are now going against the flow and you're turning back around, and you're going, the water is coming towards you and you're trying to swim through it, and it's not working for you, and it's hard for you, and it makes you feel away and it shakes you up. Instead, stop trying to find a relationship. Stop trying to find love. Stop blaming herpes for being in your way. Go with the flow of life and do your self-work. Do your healing. Make it so that it's easy and it's comfortable.
Thank you, Shayna. That was lit. That was a whole word.
I wish I knew the fish analogy, like the way this man told me this analogy, and I had dated him for a little bit because it was sexy, because he had put me in my place with it. Yo, knowledge turns me on. If you could teach me something, or help me grow or level up in that moment with just a word. He just grew my life. He just leveled me up. He just helped me evolve with just one statement. Okay?
Show is attractive.
That's a turn on.
Facts. Euphoria, you have something to add?
Well, actually, I want to hold myself accountable in this moment. I was going to let it slide, but we're always holding ourselves accountable. Sorry, guys. My alarm goes off every hour on the hour to keep me accountable. So that's actually something that is a thing. I make sure I put an alarm on for every hour of the day to make sure I'm using every hour effectively. But as it pertains to this room, I want to hold myself accountable and share my short poem that I had found yesterday. Well, last time we spoke, we were speaking on something, and we were talking about the difference between actual words and what they mean and definitions of different words. So I want to go into this poem very briefly and read it with you guys. So it starts off. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I get mad, but I'm not angry. I get sad, but I ain't depressed. When I get glad, I'm not stressed. When I turn my light on, I am blessed. I got curves under my dress. He said he wants me so he can caress, but I'm only willing to be addressed. And I just left it off there. I didn't finish the rest of it because it was a short poem. But in that poem, as it pertains to this lesson, when I came to terms with herpes, I had to find a way to release because I didn't have anyone to talk to, right? So in order to start more spiritual healing, what I did was use poetry and even raps as a way to cope with things that I had been going through. So I would sometimes write down poems about how herpes made me feel. Herpes, oh, excuse me, I'm not, Lord today. I got tied up in my words because I saw a notification, my bad. But basically, a lot of these poems were about how I felt with herpes, or how life had changed since I had herpes, or for the person that gave me herpes, I wrote a poem to them. Like, so many things you can do when you just release things on paper. If you don't have a person to be comfortable with so you can start that self-love journey and really getting to be accountable with how you feel and your emotions in this space with herpes, start writing it down. Poems, even. Sometimes you can't journal. It's not easy to journal always. So I just started off with poems, and I have a lot to share. I think I actually might, want to do a poetry slam day one day, because I have a lot of stuff in here that you guys would love. But nonetheless, I'm Amber, Shayla, you guys take this.
Thank you, Euphoria. I love that as an alternative to journaling. Maybe I want to get those poetry vibes on. So whatever makes sense to you, whatever's the most effective for your healing, we support it. Thank you, Euphoria, for all the value you add, Queen. We appreciate it. It's so lit, y'all. So Euphoria is our first Herpes Can Never healer. Like, that is so significant. I'm just like, I don't even think we even understand how major that is, but we be knowing. So we're just so happy to have her every single Wednesday here. And thank you for that. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in on Facebook. Welcome to everyone who's in the room right now. Quick roll call again. Leslie, Connor, Marquita, Yo-Yo, Hey Boo, Zyray, Helena, gosh, girl, help me. Emmanuel, Crystal, Rita, Z, and Donisha. Hey, y'all. It's Healing Wednesdays. And so the stage is open. If you have a question about your healing in particular, if you have a question for Euphoria or Shayna or I, you can ask. But that is what we talk about on Wednesdays, ways to heal all parts of ourselves around our herpes diagnosis. Shayna?
We want Helena to be Spanish so bad, don't we, Amber? We keep calling her Helena. I'm sorry. You 5% Puerto Rican because of me now, Helena, okay? So we call you Helena. That's just your 5%.
Shayna cracks me up, but she's so right, y'all. I be getting all type of influence with my speech around Shayna. I'm like, I really am showing out. Oh my God.
That's like Tamara being Tamara.
Tamara is Tamara to us, and over here, that's the cousin now. So
we got a cousin coming on stage. Hey, cousin.
Hey, Leslie.
Hey, y'all. I just wanted to come on real quick. I came across this quote a while ago, and I kind of been living by it. It don't have an author or nothing, but the title is Heal, and it says, heal through the pain, heal while you're still confused and left behind bush, heal because it's important to get out the victim mentality, heal because others need your wisdom that comes out of your pain, heal because every human being will go through his or her own pain. It's up to you if you want to stay in the dark or go towards the light. And it stuck with me ever since then. So I just want to come on here since we've been talking about healing, and we talked about healing last week also.
Thank you, Leslie. Sorry, my puppy's playing with his chew toy. That sounds like a fart and a pig noise. I can't make this up. But thank you, Leslie, for that. That was so spot on. And what you said about the wisdom that comes out of the lesson or the pain, that is so, your story has the power to save a life. When you go through something, you gain, if you allow it to teach you, you gain a certain level of wisdom that deepens your understanding that is meant to be shared with others. And so that's what you can use your pain for. But what you said at the very end was the most impactful for me. You make a choice every day on how you view the things that happens to you and how you view your life. Are you viewing your life from the perspective of a victim? Are you looking at everything as the glass is half empty? Are you seeing only the bad in everything and you can't look past that? Are you willing to look at life with a different perspective? So you have to realize that you're choosing your reality by your thoughts. And so what you're thinking is what actually is occurring right now. So I just wanted to stress that as well. So Leslie, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good
Masita.
morning.
Good morning, Queen. How are you?
I'm good. So are we doing poetry right now?
I mean, if you want to, go ahead, spit your.
Okay. Well, I wrote this back in December. It's called No Longer Humble. It says, no longer humble. From this day on, I will no longer be humble. I will be the exact opposite. For years, I downplayed everything about myself, not to outshine the next person, or not to be deemed conceited, or whatever the negative connotation people place behind overly loving yourself. I am the fucking prize. Anyone will be grateful for me to be a part of their life. I'm not just the average young woman. I am me. I am beyond beautiful. Intelligence is something that I expel with every word I speak. I am in tune with who I am. I am cultured. I am well-traveled. I am more than what anyone can possibly imagine. The overseas stamps on my passport do not make me foreign, but the blood from the original man and woman flowing through my veins gives life to the exotic woman you see before you. Curly hair sticking high to the ancestors in the night sky as I write about how amazing I am, how valuable I am, how worth it I am, and how sad I am for letting younger me settle for less. I will make it up to her by first giving myself the world, holding my head up high and never choosing my only place of worship to be in the bed of a broken person who doesn't love themselves enough to give me the world, who doesn't see forever with me, who only sees me for right now. I am not that. I am far from that. I am eternal, everlasting, and no longer humble.
Yes, queen. Look, I'm right with you, Euphoria, with the snaps.
That was so good.
Thank
you so much, Marquita, for sharing.
No problem.
If you don't mind me asking, what inspired that poem?
Well, sometimes I think I was around this time I was just getting over a breakup, and I just remembered how I just like dimmed my light so this person would, because he would say sometimes, I feel like you're too good for me. And I'd be like, no, but in reality, I'm pretty much am too good for you.
Facts.
So I just sat down, because usually when I write, I take 10 minutes and I just write. I try not to come back to stuff because I try to get all the emotions of how I feel in that moment out. So yeah.
Well, I loved it, Queen, every single part of it. And to add on to your poem, I actually was in a room with the Queen one time, and she said, because someone said, we were doing affirmations, and the girl said that I am humble. And the Queen cut her off immediately, said, no. You are not humble. I really dislike the word humble, because humble is to say that you are less than the full version of yourself. And like that goes back to what Amber was saying earlier in the room. You're being this version of yourself that is not fully you. It's like, I don't know, it's like a partial 25% of you that you're putting on the forefront as your whole. And you know, too many times we attempt to be humble, to, like you said, not take anyone else's shine, to make other people feel comfortable. But in this room, even as Shayna says, she tries to make people feel uncomfortable until we all feel comfortable. So the goal in life, I think, is for everyone to truly find that full potential in themselves and be a glass that's, you know, not halfway full, not halfway empty, but just full. I am complete. I love that. Thank you so much, Queen.
You're welcome.
Amber, Shayna.
Thank you, Marquita. That was beautiful. I appreciate you for sharing with us. Sometimes it's hard for people to share their poetry. I'm someone who writes poetry as well. I have plenty of friends who write poetry. And it's when you want to make it public and let people listen and have opinions or feel a way, it's hard to do. So big ups to you for your bravery and coming here on the stage and doing that. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to stress on the importance of healing with your younger self, whether it's your childhood self or your teenagehood self. We talked about this on Patreon last night, but a lot of our shit we haven't handled or dealt with and our traumas from our upbringing carry with us until our adulthood. And they show up in a lot of different ways. And they show up in our relationships, and they show up in our triggers, but we don't identify them as childhood traumas because we never sit with our triggers. We don't sit with our issues to even notice. I did the example of say if a child was being bullied for their hair, you know, how their hair looked their whole life, maybe from 5 to 8 years old, right? Then you're in your relationship and your husband or your wife mentions something about your hair to you. And it's not a big deal, but for you, it is. You were triggered by it, but you can't even see that what he or she said to you wasn't a big deal because it triggered something from your childhood that you haven't healed yet, that you haven't dealt with yet, that you haven't resolved yet. So now I want to share with you all a letter that I've written to my younger self. I've shared this with Clubhouse before. I'm sure I could have picked a different letter, but I'm going to share this letter again. In July, I did an exercise where I just wanted to write about all the things I wasn't necessarily proud of from the younger version of myself, whether it was childhood or young adult age. And then I wanted to bring those problems to the surface, address them, acknowledge them, then forgive myself and tell myself what I learned from that situation versus hold it with me and hold resentment and become bitter and carry that trauma with me for the rest of my life. So this was July 26, 2020. Dear Shay, my first sergeant, for those of you not in the military, that's kind of like your boss, accused me, a specialist, of blackmailing a non-commissioned officer because I decided to keep my son. Truth is, you were in a relationship with a man you loved since you were 22 and was now 25, pregnant with his child. No one from your leadership stood up for you, and yet everyone knew. I'm happy that you stood up for yourself. But as a result, when you left, there was no awards, no goodbye formation, no goodbye briefs from leadership. You were dealing with a breakup, self-inflicted heartbreak, watching Niall's dad love another queen, feelings of jealousy and shame, accusations and threats from your leadership, gossip of you being the other woman, no family around, pregnant, moving out while pregnant, appointments by yourself, your parents not being happy for you being pregnant. I get it now. Nervous about being a mom, didn't think you were ready, wasn't sure if you would have to Chapter 8 out of the Army, which means I had to discharge out of the Army because I was pregnant, but I didn't. Wasn't sure if you would die during childbirth, looking at his social media, looking at her social media, driving yourself insane, ashamed that you put yourself in the position to be a single mother. Then postpartum came crashing down, watching their life, looking at mine. Here I am, 80 pounds heavier than I was before the baby, sleep deprived. I thought, how did I get back here to the same darkness I was in when I was 13 years old? You were bitter. When I was 13 years old, I tried to commit suicide, for those of you in the room that don't know. Okay. You were bitter, nasty, cold. You did not want to show anyone how you truly felt. You pretended to be unbothered. You felt weak, pathetic, defeated, alone, abandoned, ashamed, embarrassed, ugly, and unappreciated. I'm thankful you pushed through. I'm thankful that you constantly told yourself that you were okay, because by you doing so, we became okay. Your son saved your life and his father gave you that blessing. I'm proud you've changed that narrative because bitter baby mama just wasn't it. Everything I felt in my past was due to decisions I made while I lacked self-love. I am a goddess and my son's father is nothing less of a god himself. Love, Shayna, July 26, 2020.
Thank you, Shayna.
Thank you.
The power in journaling, like how fresh and raw those feelings are that she captured in the moment because she put it on the paper, and now the lessons that were packed and the growth that she could see from now until then. Like, that's what I think about, just all the conversations her and I have had, you know, in the time that we've known each other. So just to hear and see the growth in her life in that amount of time, and to hear the thoughts that she thought about herself and the things that the reflections she was having as she was pregnant alone in the military, and being someone who was in the military and relating to, you know, being pregnant by somebody who's in a higher ranking position and all the shame and that comes along with, and just how the military is set up. I could totally just, you know, empathize with her in those moments. And so I appreciate that she took the time to write that down then so that we can learn from it now, the wisdom and the lessons. So the stage is open. If anyone would like to come up, you're more than welcome to. Thank you for everyone for joining. It's Healing Wednesdays. We're here from 8:30 to 9:30. We're also back this evening for our evening session, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're back here. Our private Facebook group is jumping. So if you're not in our private Facebook group, I highly suggest you join. We are probably 20, 30, maybe 30 people away from hitting 1K. Like we're about to hit we're about to go 4 digits on them. So their group is growing tremendously, and we thank everyone for being a part of our private Facebook group. So appreciate everyone in the room. The stage is open. Euphoria or Shayna, do you guys have anything you want to share?
I wanted to say thank you, Shayna, for that, because that like even made me reflect on a few things myself, going through some of those emotions while pregnant, and the reflections and how you can come back and build from those points of, I don't want to say weakness, but just those points of reflection. When you look back, you say, wow, I felt like that. But because of how I healed myself today, I'm no longer that. Like you said, bitter baby mama just wasn't it. You had to heal from that and become a true goddess. That was beautiful. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Euphoria. If anyone in the room is interested in my younger self journey, I did from the 1st all the way up to the 30th in July. You can find those journal letters in my story, the highlights on my Instagram page. I have everything from my suicide, from my abortion, from stripping, from being a side chick, from having herpes, from being a better baby mother. I was really doing some soul searching and healing from losing my virginity at 14 from a 20-year-old man. I did a lot of reaching into my childhood and younger self back. So if you're interested in that journey, go ahead and go to my story highlights and check it out.
I just had a general question. Shayna, what made you want to, do that soul searching or kind of looking back at past traumas last summer? I guess because I'm going to be 32, and so maybe a year or two ago, I realized like, oh wow, like there's some stuff that I thought that I like completely got over, but I may need to do some more work in. So I was just curious.
It was when I started handling my triggers differently. I mentioned Patreon conversation last night was lit because we talked about triggers and how sometimes when we just react off of the emotion that a trigger gives us, we miss a lot of points. And recently, instead of reacting, I decided to do everything that makes me uncomfortable, not reacting, not saying something bad, not saying something so that the other people can be just as triggered as me. I decided to self-reflect now. In those moments, I go, wow, why am I triggered? Is this true? Does this show up in my life? How does this show up in my life? So in doing so and being around people who triggered me, such as my parents, I noticed that a lot of the things that triggered me in other people were things that were already within myself. The things I didn't like in others were the things I didn't like in myself, which forced me to do the work and digging and diving into my path, because there's no reason why the same pains kept showing up in my life. I needed to dig deeper. I needed to heal myself. When I started my spiritual journey in 2017, I came up with this image of a person that I wanted to be. And the person I no longer wanted to be was Shay, my younger self. So I was running away from my younger self. Everything in the past, I had let it go. I wanted to ignore and change, just change everything. But I couldn't do that. My younger self kept popping up. My younger self will pop up in my triggers. It will pop up in my thoughts. She will pop up in the mirror with me. She stayed with me as I was running away from her. So my journal exercise in July was me stopping my tracks. Hey, Shay, you got to stop running away from your younger self because she's still showing up. We have to heal. We have to address these issues. We have to address these problems. So I wanted to, everything that bothered me in my past, from the time that my first memory was at 4. So since 4 all the way on up, I wanted to bring up and bring to the surface and deal with it. How did this truly make me feel? How does this make me feel? How can I grow from this? What am I learning from this? How can I prevent this in the future? How can I forgive myself now and deal with this now so I can let it go and it can stop reappearing in my life? I hope that answers your question, Rita. I know sometimes I can be a little bit all over the place.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was learning stuff from that. Thanks, Rita. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Asking yourself those questions, handling your triggers different, realizing that you have triggers, figuring out what they are, really understanding, being mindful of when you start to feel a way, trying to find the root of where is that feeling coming from. Like the actual things that are triggered on the inside of you, and they come from who you are as a child and the unresolved issues. I just so agree with that. So thank you so much, Shayna. Yeah, thank you, Shayna.
Thank you.
Sorry. I also wanted to add, and this is specific to you, Shayna, but this is what I've researched, and I challenge everyone in the room to do this. Find out which chakra, based on your zodiac, your sun sign, and your charts, you need to heal. Because even for me, I'm like half and half with Scorpio, right? And it's said that most Scorpios have to heal their sacral chakra, and that is the chakra that deals with our yoni, passion, and for men, your phallus. So a lot of the healing comes from that area. A lot of the healing, I even have a birthmark that goes all the way from my belly button all the way down to my yoni, where it's like I always wondered what that was, and it was a symbol to show me something that I had to heal. But then also while doing that, find out what chakra you find power in, and that your life path is that resonates with your life path. Because for Scorpios as well, the chakra that you're supposed to use to heal is the throat chakra, which I see. That's why Shayna is so vocal. That's why I even, sometimes find vocality in certain things with poetry. But find out which chakra you need to heal based on your sun sign, and find out what chakra can assist you in that. Also, I want to give a small shout out to someone in the crowd. We have Emmanuel down there. He's awesome. He sent me his SoundCloud, and I was able to look at his beats, guys. And this was something that I used to heal. I basically did a little freestyle on my page, right? And in that freestyle, I wrote it a few years ago. And it was just me shedding some dead weight when I had wrote it, but I felt the need to finally put it in the public eye. And I got a nice feedback from it. A lot of people told me how they felt about it. So, I just wanted to shout him out for that, because that was awesome. And all the beats that he had, I recorded a bunch of different things of that. So I want to get but
so I'm a little jealous, Emmanuel. Send the beats.
I recorded like 6 different songs on there, so that was just really dope to experience that. And that's why I was going to say, herpes, actually, we like to try to look at it so negatively, but if it wasn't for herpes, I would have never met him. I would have never had that moment to resonate with him in a spiritual way, where what he does, what is the word that I'm looking for? Complements what I do. So don't always look at this as some way to find negativity. Sometimes the fact that we're going through something so similar, that we all have to heal our sacral chakra, because we're all in this room most likely dealing with herpes. If not, that's completely fine. You're here for education purposes, but a lot of us have to heal that sacral chakra, and that's where a lot of our creativity comes from. With that being, the orange, when you're not diving in that area sexually, you get so much creativity from that power point. And when you heal that place, you become authentically you, because you become the most creative, vibrant version of yourself. So that's why I say on Wednesdays, we're going to start from the root chakra next Wednesday, and we're going to work our way up. But I probably do 2 breathing exercises focusing on the sacral chakra. I just wanted to add that in there, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens. Shayna, Amber. Thank you, Euphoria. That was amazing. Shout out to herpes, because herpes can never stop anything. If anything, herpes has just been herpes saved my life. That's the YouTube title of my YouTube video, and it's the truth. That was literally my truth. And I thought about the title for so long, and that was the only one that just kept coming back to me, because it is true. what it has done for me and the growth that I've seen. And I'm just so grateful that because I decided to do the work and because I surrendered and I started to flow like that waterfall, I started to learn the lessons. I started to swim with the current instead of against it. What's happened for me. So I'm grateful to everyone in the room. Thank you so much for being here on Healing Wednesday. Shout out to y'all. I appreciate seeing each of y'all's faces. It's an honor. It's a privilege to come and to share and to heal and to grow with everybody. It's your girl Amber, aka WatchAmber. New YouTube videos dropping soon. So thank you for so much for everybody who supports me over on there and supports this movement, because that's indeed what it is. We can't do it without you. So thank you for being here. We love you. If you're not a Patreon, highly recommend that you tap into our Patreon calls. They're Zoom calls, so we see each other's faces. We just have whole types of energy over there. And if you can't make them live, they are recorded, so you get to catch them over on the Patreon site only. You can get to our Patreon from our Instagram profile, or Shayna and myself have our Patreon linked in our Instagram profiles as well. So tap into Patreon and you can get the link to this Friday's call. Shout out to everybody in the room. We appreciate you. Huh? Oh, shout out to everybody in the room. I'm sorry if I'm going in and out. We appreciate you. Herpes can never. And we'll see y'all tonight at 6:30. Euphoria.
My bad, my connection was going in and out. But yes, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for sharing breathwork with me. You know, I'm going to now adopt the name Breathwork Goddess. So thank you guys for supporting me in that space. Thank you, Amber and Shayna, for allowing me to share breathwork and healing with the entire Herpes Could Never movement. I appreciate you, queens. Honestly, without you two ladies, I probably wouldn't even be here today in this healing space in such a public way. So again, roses for you ladies. And thank you to everyone in the room who has taken on that opportunity and that responsibility to yourselves to heal. Because when you heal yourself, your reality and your world around you heal. The people, the places, things, activities, just everything. Love heals. So yes, thank you ladies so much. Sheena.
I'll leave you all with something to think about. Before your herpes, right? Could you have the sex talk? Was the sex talk uncomfortable? Before your herpes, were you worthy of love? Did you feel worthy of love? Did you feel desirable? Did you care what other people thought of you? Then when you find out you have herpes, did shit change? Was it the herpes that made shit change? Or did herpes bring things to the surface? Did herpes make you realize things in yourself? Did herpes make you notice things in yourself? Herpes can't change your life in the way that the herpes stigma will make you think it can. Herpes is nothing but prodrome symptoms and a bump that may or may not show up, because majority of people within this community don't even have outbreaks. So let's really think about what is your issue? What is your issue with herpes? What is your problem? What areas in your life do you need to heal? For me, herpes has showed me all the areas that I lacked in self-love. For me, herpes has shown me all the ways that I need to show up for myself more. Herpes has guided me on how to learn my body, guided me on how to heal, guided me in the areas I needed to heal in. Herpes put me on a path of self-discovery, and it has the power to do the same for you in your life as well, if you allow it. But if you keep making yourself a victim, if you keep putting the blame of everything in your life right now, where you stand, on herpes, you will never allow herpes to put you on that path to self-discovery. So accept it, embrace it. It's here for life, and start your journey. And remember, herpes could never.
See y'all tonight, 6:30. Meet us over on our Facebook page.
Yes.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
We'll see you tonight. Goodbye.